If you're a fan of old school bodybuilding, then make sure to check out Subs the Movie. Filmmaker Alex Ardenti explores the $40 billion sports supplement industry, delving into the origins, evolution, and current state of supplements used by millions of fitness enthusiasts worldwide, available at Amazon and Vimeo. Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here, and today I'll be presenting an interview with the son of Rocky Kent, who I previously featured on this channel more than once. And after creating a video on Rocky Kent, Kamau, his son, sent me a package and donation for my channel, with the package containing photos, articles, and a check, which I was very thankful for and recently featured on this channel. I decided to interview Kamau and his brother, who also wanted to join in, and I found out more about the amazing Rocky Kent, who, believe it or not, was also originally called the Black Panther. I do hope you enjoy this interview. Alrighty. Can you just adjust the camera so we got you full on? There we go. Nice. That's better. We're both wearing yellow.
Yes, yes.
All right. Are you going to sit down, or are you just going to be standing, or how's that going to work?
I think I'll sit.
Okay, great. All right, Kamau, thank you very much for agreeing to the interview. It's always a pleasure to speak to family members of previous famous bodybuilders of the past. Yeah, I mean, thank you for reaching out as you did.
Oh, but thank you for actually doing this on our father, on account of it. It means so much to us also.
It's my pleasure. I mean, I do it because it's my hobby, and often I do get family members telling me, oh wow, you did a video on my father or on my grandfather, and it's always just for me an honor when I hear back, because I know I've done a good job. So yeah, I see it like that.
Yes, understandably so.
So you're so it's your father, right? Your father.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Your father was called, at least in the magazines, Rocky Kent. Can you let me know what his actual real name was?
His real name was William Henry Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother that's on the other line, he has his name.
Okay.
William. Yes.
Cool. And he was born exactly when?
January 31st, 1921.
Right, 1921. So he would have been over 101 years old by now, if he would still be with us.
If he was still with us, yes, he would be 101.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
And okay, so where was he born? Was he born in Canada or in the US?
Westchester, West Virginia.
Okay. Okay. And that's in the States? Sorry, I don't know.
Yes, that's in the United States, yes.
No, I mean, which state of the United States?
Virginia. No, Pennsylvania. What? I mean, I said Westchester. Wait a minute. Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Right. Okay.
Yes. Pennsylvania. Cool.
And so his real name was William Henry Smith. And why was he nicknamed Rocky Kent then? This is something I've kind of don't understand, because that's how I came across him in the mags. I mean, I've got some mags here, and I did the video. I was very impressed. This is one of the bound Your Physique editions. There's your father there. And he's always called, so here's, for example, a new champion is born. That's how they introduce him on Your Physique. This is volume 1950. Right. Oh, yeah, hang on. There it is. 1950. Sorry, it's reverse.
19. Yes.
And it says, yeah, a new champion is born, Rocky Kent, as rugged and massively powerful as the Canadian Northwoods which are his home. This is why I got confused and why I needed to ask. Discovered by Weider, Rocky is a Weider booster, having utilized the Weider principles in his training, standing 5'3" tall, weighing 165 pounds. That arm measures 17.2 inches cold. And that's kind of how I got introduced to your father through the Weider mags. And I mean, did he live in Canada?
You broke up. Say again.
Sorry, did he live in Canada?
For a while, yes, he did live in Canada, and he worked in different clubs. We know as bouncers.
Right.
He did a lot of hunting and fishing in Canada.
Cool. Nice.
You know, so and when we were younger, I remember us going there. We were living in the States, but we would still travel to Canada every summer.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
you know, we did summers there.
Right. But why was he called Rocky Kent then?
I believe that was just because of like a stage name, because he was. And
sorry, you broke up there. Why was that? Because of his stage name?
He was like a rock. He was, you know, the term hard, so hard like a rock.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
I'm assuming, unless my brother knows something else.
In what respect of a stage? Like, you mean on a bodybuilding stage or another sporting field?
You know, yeah, on a bodybuilding stage, he, you know, because he was a bodybuilder, a weightlifter, a wrestler,
right,
and a martial artist also.
Right.
So, but you know, how he actually came about having that name is unclear to me. I'm not sure. I just assumed that it was just a stage name.
Okay, so when he was announced,
go ahead.
When he was announced as a wrestler, for example, during his wrestling bouts, he would be called out as Rocky Kent. Is that correct?
Sometimes, and sometimes it was Sammy Samira or the Little Giant or Black Panther.
So we're talking about the original Black Panther then.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Awesome.
So. It was way before. It was way before they came up with it. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's really interesting because if I was to discuss to anyone who knows about old school bodybuilding and old school lifting, and people would ask who is the original Black Panther, most people would say it's Serge Nubret, who was he was from Guadalupe and was discovered by Weider during an IFBB Mr. Universe in the 1960s, right? But now we have a name that goes back to the 1950s. So I'm wondering if the name actually was originally derived from the stage name of your father. And then, you know, Serge adopted it, because now there's a few people that call themselves nowadays, for example, there's one bodybuilder in the classic physique division nowadays that calls himself the Black Panther. But you can trace it usually back just to Serge Nubret, but not to your father. So that's really, really interesting. Yeah. Just saying.
I never really put two and two together. I never really put two and two together.
Okay. Yeah, I just find it really interesting. I think the audience are going to be actually stunned at that, because I can see why he was called the Black Panther. I mean, you know, here's another great article from Your Physique. This was from 1951. You see it there. And again, I can see again why he would also be called Rocky, as you said, hard as a rock. That's your father there. And there's also some stage shots here of him. But yeah, essentially, Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that he was called the Black Panther. That's really something I didn't know at all. So it's pretty cool. Besides those names you just gave me, did he have other wrestling names? Hello?
That I know of.
No? Okay.
None that we know of.
Right. Now, Joe Weider claims that Rocky Cantor, your father, William, we'll just call him William Henry Smith, CC, your father trained under Joe Weider. Is that correct or is that incorrect? Because you said he was born in Pennsylvania. So my guess is that he would have actually learnt the York methods instead, because that's in Pennsylvania. What's the story there?
He met Joe Weider through a friend.
Aha, really? Okay. Do you know which friend that was?
No, that's before our time.
Right, okay. I didn't know that. That's great. And so he was friends with Joe Weider.
He met Joe Weider. His friend showed pictures to Joe Weider. They had a meeting. There was a magazine with this article showing that when my father walked in, Joe Weider said, your picture showed that you're taller. They thought he was taller from his picture, but he was a short man.
Yeah.
And they called him the coolest big man or the biggest little man, something like that.
Yeah, I have that specific article now, which I think I've already sent to you now.
You broke up. You broke up for a second.
I just said I have that specific article that I think I already sent you, where it's Ben Weider actually, when he actually met Rocky in person, exclaimed that he couldn't believe that your father was so short, because judging from the images, he was so symmetrical that he actually appeared larger.
But if we analyze just what was stated, that means that my father was already massive by the time he met Joe Weider.
Exactly.
Right.
And Joe Weider stated that, as I remember reading an article, that yes, Rocky was once a puny this, that, or the other, and then when he took his substance, he became massive, which that was for advertisement purposes.
What do you mean by his substance?
Joe Weider's products.
All right. I don't recall reading that, but I do recall the article stating that when your father started, he was thin and weak, and then he started using, I think, yeah, that's right. He saw apparently some kind of a strongman act that kind of instigated or caused that interest in the iron game. And then he made, I mean, I know you sent me some wonderful photos of your father. And in particular, I really like this one because it goes so well with that story. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, he made makeshift weights out of axles.
Yeah. Yes, he made those. Yes.
Yeah. So that actually proves what Ben Weider was saying, that he made those and would train with those, and pretty soon built himself a very impressive physique. I mean, there's no doubt about that. When we see the photos that you sent me, I mean, it's just incredible, the development. A lot of people, when I actually made that video, I haven't actually ever shown these photos yet, but I plan to, I mean, this interview is going to be broadcast on my YouTube channel. One of the main criticisms that people have over when I put these photos up or these videos is that they ask if your father at that time would have had access to testosterone or being able to afford it,
His thing was he would say steak and eggs, or I mean, just you know, the steak and potatoes, just any foods. He never took any steroids or of any kind. He was all natural.
I would have to. I mean,
How did you get like that? And he would say, beef and steel.
beef and steel.
Beef and steel.
Oh man, that should be a T-shirt. That's awesome. That is awesome. Like, I mean, all I can always argue is that when I see photos again like this, and a man can't even afford.
You froze. You froze.
Said, when I hear criticisms of people stating that the lifters back in the 50s and in the 40s used testosterone, and I see these photos of men back then not even able to afford a barbell and discs and having to make things out of the junkyard, how can you justify and say that they could afford injections every week for years when they could barely put food on their table, barely afford a barbell? To me, it doesn't make any sense. So, you know, I agree that your father was a natural and built his physique on beef and steel. It's awesome. That's fantastic. That's really awesome. One question I did ask you and your brother earlier was, I couldn't quite find the article, but it's on your physique. And I think that because of Joe Weider's statements that he apparently built your father's physique through his methods, which we know is not true. As you mentioned, he came into the office already ginormous. So how could he be built using the Weider methods? Hoffman apparently accused the Weiders of promoting a criminal, stating that the criminal was namely your father.
And we think back then, the era that it was, how racist it was,
yeah,
how dehumanizing it was, and apparently with things that are going on in the world today, some things still are.
Yes. Well, in particular, I mean, I know exactly where you're going with this, and this is kind of why I'm asking. Of course, there's absolutely no disrespect in your father, but I found it because back then Hoffman and Weider had a war going on. They would really nitpick at details and basically try and make each other look down or look bad by the bodybuilders or athletes that they were promoting. In this case, your father was the subject. And there was mention that he was in trouble with the law, knowingly, of course. We all know what was going on back there with racism. So can you elaborate on what particular incident the Hoffmans were actually picking at? Because the Weiders mentioned that it was something ridiculous, and that apparently the Hoffmans were so York, which was run by Bob Hoffman,
Right,
was stating that your father was a fugitive. So could you expand on that?
that's incorrect, because just as I stated before, my brother reminded me of a conversation that we had, you know, with our father, and our father stated that he was playing baseball, and so he was scratched up, but the police grabbed him because he was on his way home at the time. He was on his way home, and the police stopped him and seen that his knees were scraped, so they stated that he had stole a pie, and he scraped his knees when he was running.
Right, during the game.
So you're right, but he scraped. In actuality, he scraped them during the game, and they arrested him
Right.
for stealing a pie that he never did steal. He was adamant about that.
Yeah, I mean that's
When he saw his mother, she came to see him, and that was the last time he saw her.
what?
That was the last. My brother stated that was the last time he seen his mother, because his mother came to see him
Believing he was in jail for something he did.
believing he was in jail for something that they stated that he did. So she thought he did it. So she died thinking that he was guilty.
Oh,
and he never seen her.
I'm sorry to have to bring this up. I'm sorry that I brought it up. Then I'm really sorry.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, it is what it is. It's part of the past, and you know, it's
Yeah,
ugly, hateful people that make statements that are untrue about people that are better than they are in their own field, and they have
adversity.
and yes, and they try to knock them down, but like my brother said, he overcame that adversity regardless.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. You know, I know it's in the past. I thought it was an interesting topic to just briefly touch on, because in all honesty, back in the 40s and 50s, up to the 60s and 70s, one could say, there was a lot of racism in this. I mean, overall, especially in the sport. At least when I focus on the history of bodybuilding, it is so obvious of all the injustices that were done. It's really incredible to see the ramifications that these accusations had, and how it broke families up and things like that. It is just absolutely horrific. I've been recently speaking to quite a well-known athlete called, or now he's kind of retired. You probably know him, CT Fletcher on YouTube. He's a world record powerlifting champion several times. And he was actually telling me a lot of stories back then, you know, of all the injustices as well. And basically he was highlighting how there's a long history of it. And I think you just confirmed one specific case. Like, I mean, I've noticed when I've read these articles of the allegations and accusations that have been made on I don't know how to put it, on African-American athletes. And yeah, I mean, hearing this is really difficult. So I'm just sorry that you guys had to go through that. I mean, I know I've gone through racism myself, and I still do, living in Switzerland. It doesn't go away, but it's just an unfortunate thing, I think. But I guess we'll change topics now. But thank you for clearing that up and clearing your father's name up too. I really appreciate that. Hello. Back up there. Hello, you broke up there?
Yes, it
Okay.
froze for a few minutes.
That's okay. We'll just move on now. With the wrestling career of your father, I mean, I got to get again. Thank you for the photos you sent. There's some great photos here of your father during his heyday, wrestling one or two people at the same time. It's just amazing.
Yes.
How long did his career last for as a wrestler?
The exact times we're unsure.
But approximately, would he have done that for about a decade or so? Or?
Oh, yes, at least.
Okay.
I remember him talking about even you remember the name Waldo von Erich?
No, I can't say I've heard.
He used to be known as Fritz von Erich.
Okay.
You know, they wrestled. There was a young guy that came. Well, he was older than I, but to my father, which was like Bobo Brazil, and you know so that was a different era between Waldo von Erich and Bobo Brazil.
Okay.
And so I'm not sure when they were wrestling, but I know it was a different era. So
the last time I remember him wrestling was, I believe, 68 or 69.
Yeah, right in around 60. Yes.
That would kind of make sense. Because you also sent photos of certain articles and events. Here's one of them from 1958.
Yes.
Where your father is being advertised there as says Rocky Kent, Junior Mr. America, most muscular, Mr. Buffalo City, an outstanding weightlifter, but not necessarily as a wrestler. So I'm assuming that during the late 50s and early 60s, he would have turned a wrestler because there was basically no money in bodybuilding at the time. And I mean, that would make sense that he then did wrestling for about a decade or so. What happened after that? So what would your father then do towards the end of his career in the 70s, 80s, and yeah, before he passed away?
I know he worked at Chevrolet plant for about 15 years.
Okay.
You know, the General Motors plant, #1 plant in Tonawanda, New York. You know, that's the suburb of Buffalo, New York. And you know, and at one time he owned a diner, Rocky's Diner.
Cool. That's great. Where he served beef and steel.
You know, because I remember seeing the little match sticks, not sticks, but the matchbook with, you know, the advertisement with the best coffee in town, you know, but
Nice.
that was Rocky's Diner. And so but that was good. Yeah, beef and steel. That was what he served.
That should be a t-shirt. That really should be a t-shirt.
And I'd like to.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was saying I'd like to go ahead and I think I just may do that. I just may make a t-shirt like that.
That is an awesome idea. Using one of these photos, I mean, I can't say I've seen this one in a magazine, but that's got to be my favorite photo of your father. It's just incredible. The size of his arms.
Actually, how back when you were talking about his 17.5-inch arms, he actually got up to, what was that, 21? What was that, Will?
Oh, something happened.
Hello?
Yeah, hang on a minute.
Oh, I was saying the size of Dad's arms ended up being what? Was it 21? 21 and a quarter. He ended up having arms 21 and a quarter. I thought it was 21 and a half, but 21 and a quarter.
Would be insane for an athlete that's just 5'3" or 5'4". That's just mind blowing. But so are you saying that he continued lifting all his life?
Most of his life, yes.
Yeah, well, that would make more sense then. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just, yeah. I mean, your father is obviously one of these amazing athletes, and this is something I was actually speaking to about CT Fletcher. You
Yes.
hear always about John Grimmick, Steve Reeves, Reg Park, Bill Pearl, but everybody forgets the, the like African or African American athletes like your father, Chuck Pendleton, another great
Right.
athlete, right?
Yeah.
Probably heard of him. Melvin Wells,
Melvin, yes, Melvin Wells, yes.
George Payne.
Yeah, exactly.
They only started getting recognition, I would say, from the time of Leroy Colbert. Leroy Colbert was quite famous in the 50s, mid to late 50s. He was quite young when he developed his 21-inch arms. And from then on, there was more exposure of African-American athletes. But prior to that, you really have to search to find them. And this is something that, again, CT and I were talking a lot about, which is why I was sparked again to, I mean, it was really CT that kind of asked me. He said, I'd like you to do something. And he said, I'd like you to feature some more of the colored athletes from the 40s and the 30s and the early 50s before Leroy. And that kind of reminded me of you and your father, and sparked the interest to do this interview, thanks to CT, because he's also very much a collector like me. He has a lot of muscle mags, and he does talk a lot about it sometimes on his own channel. He like recently did a post on Melvin Wells. I know he's going to love this interview. He's going to love this. And maybe he'll want to get in touch with you guys too, because he's all about honoring as well the athletes of the past, of course. Especially for him, it's a real at heart issue, because he is also, as I said, gone through a lot of the prejudices that your father went through. And it might be interesting to see. I'm going to contact CT and see what he says about this, because he's always watching my channel, and he might be very interested in following up as well with you guys. So I'll keep you posted.
And there's been many times talking about the racism where our father was, I mean, biceps, triceps, lats, just everything larger, more massive, and still the smaller European one.
Yeah.
And that but yes.
We all know, we all know what was happening back then. Do you know the exact titles that your father won?
Mr. Buffalo, Mr. Canada, Junior Mr. America. I think it was 3 consecutive times. I may be incorrect.
What did he win 3 consecutive times?
Junior Mr. America.
Wow. Would you have all your father's trophies there?
No, that's an issue with one of our other brothers, Rocky. He has them.
Okay, well, I'll leave it there.
We were trying at one time to at least get some photos of them, which I have a couple. I have some photos here with him. Hold on one second.
No problem.
I have some photos here with him on the wall with.
Oh yeah!
Can you see this photo here?
Nice.
And then these here. There's a few here.
Cool.
Because they did an article on him, because he was supposed to be at a competition. This was in 53. No, it was after 53, because this is about the junior
Mr. America.
oh, he had some AAU championships also.
Okay.
He competed in the AAU also. So he had quite a few trophies. He did. He had quite a few, and I was just, let's see. He also up here, as you see, he was a horse trainer also.
Really? Wow. That's amazing.
Can you see? Can you see?
Yeah, I can see it.
It's clear.
Yeah, it's quite clear. I can see those images. That's pretty amazing.
Okay. So.
Oh, it's fine. I mean,
Okay.
it's okay. It's really interesting to have spoken about your father. I mean, he's obviously he was very multi-talented, and
Yes.
I really, I think that's pretty much my questions for the day. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the time that you've given yourself, Kamau, and your brother Will. Just a last question: when did your father pass?
June 20th of 1981.
Right, and that was through, you mentioned prostate cancer, right?
Yes.
Yes, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, back then, many. I mean, it's interesting to see that nowadays you hear of bodybuilders passing away from heart issues because of obviously steroid use, but the natural lifters like Reg Park, like Steve Reeves, like your father, mostly pass away from more natural causes. Like Reg Park passed away from cancer, just like your father. And I believe that Steve Reeves was also suffering from cancer, and he went to hospital, had the tumor removed, but died from complications. So, this seems to be the issue with, obviously, with natural lifters. They pass from natural causes. They live a relatively better life than those that are on steroids, who are already suffering issues from the age of 40 or 50. So, yeah. Well, again, thank you very much for your time. I'm glad to highlight your dad's legacy. And
thank you for your time, and commitment.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. It really is. We'll talk again soon, I'm sure, at least via email. And I'll let you know what CT says about this, because again, he's quite interested.
Awesome. Right. Okay.
Right.
Thank you again very much.
Thanks, Kamau.
From Oliver. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and to your brother as well. And yeah, we'll chat again soon.
Thank you.
You hear him?
Yeah, I hear you, Will. Thank you for your time. Thank you both. Have a great day.
You also.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Now, in what was a rather emotional interview from Kamau and his brother, we not only learn about Rocky Kent, whose real name was William Henry Smith, but at how multi-talented he really was, being a father, bodybuilder and weightlifter, wrestler and martial artist, and he even raised horses and worked in the auto industry and even as a chef in his own diner. Although William Henry Smith lived a full and amazing life, it was tarnished by the prejudice that many African American athletes faced back during the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. I have talked about the racism that existed in general back then and how it made its presence in the Iron Game, in particular in how it influenced the AAU's decisions in selecting past Mr. Americas and making sure that they were all white. I had no idea, though, of how it affected William Henry Smith's family and personal life and the injustices that he suffered due to being accused of stealing something as simple as a pie, even though he was completely innocent. Such incidents, as painful as they are, should not be forgotten. However, they should also not be the reason to remember the amazing lives of such incredible human beings. I will continue to bring more information on this channel about such amazing athletes such as Melvin Wells, Chuck Pendleton, and Chick Deutsch, all amazing African American athletes of the iron game that I feel did not receive the recognition they deserved. I do hope that this video, as well as the previous videos on Rocky Kent or William Henry Smith, as was his real name, can serve to preserve his legacy. Rather impressive, though, was that William Henry Smith appears to have been the original Black Panther. That's really something to celebrate, I think. Given as one of his stage names, I share some of these amazing images sent to me by Kamau, which show why he was called the Black Panther. Truly an amazing physique, hard like stone through the years of lifting heavy iron, and athletic as well, dynamic. This guy could move in the ring. Athletes back then being completely natural and relying, as William Henry Smith would say, on beef and steel, were not just as strong as they looked, but complete athletes. William was a bodybuilder, weightlifter, wrestler, and martial artist, which should say a lot about his athletic prowess. A truly remarkable life he led that should serve as an example to all of what we are truly capable of achieving through discipline and hard work. Thank you, Kamau and William, for allowing me to interview you. It was a real pleasure, an absolute pleasure. So I do hope you have enjoyed watching this video on the original Black Panther, aka Rocky Kent, also of course born as William Henry Smith. If you have, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and leave me a comment, and please click the bell button to be notified of future videos. I will be in contact with Kamau and see if the t-shirts of his father will come to fruition. Imagine those t-shirts saying beef and steel. I think that's an awesome idea. I think there'd be a lot of fans for that. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And I am selling William Henry's workouts. These were sent to me by Kamau, as you saw in the previous video that I showed on the channel, and these are on my website. So if you want to train like the original Black Panther using awesome silver era methods, then please head to my website. That's it from me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now. Online training is now available, including my new program, Novice to Classic, a program geared towards beginners and novices looking at developing a classic physique, as well as Classic Cut, geared at those who wish to lose weight and gain muscle fast. Details available at www.goldenerabookworm.com. Need a bodybuilding poster for your gym or office? Then check out Iron Man Magazine archive.smugmug.com for the highest quality posters on the planet. Scroll through the galleries of all the legends, including greats such as Arnold, Frank Zane, Sergio Oliva, Serge Nubret, Tom Platz, and Larry Scott, and much, much more, and select your poster now. Your favorite YouTube channel, please visit teespring.com/stores/goldenerabookworm for merchandise, including t-shirts, hoodies, face masks, phone cases, and much, much more. Once again at teespring.com/stores/goldenerabookworm. Become a patron at www.patreon.com/goldenerabookworm for hard to find books, scans of rare photos, and articles on the golden era of bodybuilding. To take full advantage of my collaborations, use code GEB20 with nspnutrition.com and vincegeronda.com, as well as code bookworm12 at osl.com for a discount at checkout.
I don't think that Bill Phillips looked at it as, I want to compete against them. I want to destroy them.
If they pass legislation basically making any type of food supplement a prescription item, that would be the end, the death of the entire food supplement industry.
Take your vitamin pill now.
In the 1960s, the sports supplement industry was barely emerging.
I think the reason why Joe Weider was so successful was he had Arnold on his side.
He wasn't selling supplements. He was in the dream business.
Joe Weider was a marketing genius.
People would say the promotions or the endorsements back then were cheesy. To me, it wasn't. I loved it.
Fitness was taking off. Fitness became cool. You had a lot of readers that wanted to be like the stars that they idolized.
Bill's strength is his marketing savvy. He's a marketing genius.
Got it. It's only vitamin.
The right of American citizens to have free access to dietary supplements of their choice.
Consult your physician. You might as well consult the next guy you meet on the street. They don't know a damn thing about vitamins and nutrition.
The dietary supplement industry became the #2 most regulated industry. Nuclear, dietary supplements, pharmaceutical. We're more regulated than drugs.
They come in and you need to allow the FDA. They have jurisdiction.
The enforcement is kind of the questionable side of it, and how do they really get a handle on this monster?
A lot of people tell me that the dietary supplement industry is completely unregulated. It's the wild, wild west out there. It's a free-for-all. That could not be further from the truth.
A dietary supplement is not allowed to have a side effect. I always say that pharmaceutical has to have a minimum of 100 side effects in order for it to be a drug.
And now, it's a $40 billion industry and growing.
That's the really interesting thing, is the cast of characters from the 80s, when it was kind of iffy, to now when it's a lot more legitimate.
They made it sound cutting edge, revolutionary, and different, and I want that. That's cool.
We are in this industry to improve our health. It's not just a vanity project here. We're working on our lifeline. We eat a certain way to improve our health. We train a certain way to improve our health. Supplements are just that. They supplement your work, your graft, your nutrition.
They demonize dietary supplements, but they say all you need is real food. Well, what's a real food?
They pump you up and get you hard, stronger, faster, bigger.
Doc, I want to take this weight gain. I want to take this pre-workout. Doctor's, no way. That stuff, we don't know what's in that. It could be, no way. I'm not going to give you, it's going to kill the industry, bottom line.
So I must have drank so much protein powder from age 15 to 18 that my head was going to explode.
I believed in metrics so much that I would probably punch somebody in the face if they tried to take it away from me.